The Euro 2024 final has now been decided, with both Spain and England making the final. So now it's only right that I make my predictions on this amazing game and say who I think will win the Euros this summer. And trust me, you're gonna want to stay till the end, because I may or may not go with the upset in this video. Let's start this off by talking about the Spain national team, the first finalists at the 2024 Euros, and how they made it to this point. Now they were heading into the Euros in some decent form, with them topping the Euro qualifying group and only losing once while winning every other game. Then, during the start of the Euros, they were put in a difficult group consisting of Croatia, Italy, and Albania. Their first match was against Croatia, who themselves had a lot of expectations on them. After all, they were the 2018 World Cup runners-up and the 2022 World Cup third-place medalists, so it only makes sense. But just like I predicted, Croatia stank up the tournament, and they failed to progress out of this group. And Spain helped prove me right as well, because in the game against these two sides, they destroyed Croatia 3-0, thanks to goals from Alvaro Morata, then Fabian Ruiz, and then Carvajal after getting assisted by 16-year-old Lamine Yamal. Moving on from that, Spain had to play Italy next, and if they won here, they would have secured a spot in the round 16, and that's exactly what they did. Sure, it was much more difficult than they thought, with them getting some good chances, but Donnarumma having a great game and saving Italy. But eventually, Spain pushed through, and due to a Calafiori own goal, Spain won the game 1-0. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck, no shame in that. With Spain already securing top spot in the group, they played their B team against Albania, and they still managed to win 1-0 thanks to a Ferran Torres goal in the first half. With Spain being the only team securing 9 points from 9 games, they were immediately placed as the heavy favorites to win the Euros this summer. And with the successful knockout stage performance, it only makes sense. Spain's round of 16 clash was against Georgia, who surprisingly made it to the round 16 after shocking everybody and beat Portugal 2-0 in their first ever tournament appearance. But even though Georgia scored first in the match, providing an early scare to the Spanish and their fans, Spain had it under control and still made it through. Thanks to goals from Rodri in the 39th minute, Fabian Ruiz in the 51st minute, who got on the end of a beautiful pass by the 16-year-old Lamine Yamal yet again, then Nico Williams in the 75th minute, and Dani Olmo finished it off later in the game to help Spain beat Georgia 4-1. A well-deserved and likely victory for the Spanish. The quarterfinals would prove to be a much more difficult task though, with them having to play Germany, probably the second best national team at the Euros performance-wise thus far. And Germany would have the fan advantage too, since they were the hosts. But despite losing Pedri early on in the game, the replacement, Dani Olmo, scored early on in the second half to give Spain the unlikely lead in the match. And guess who assisted the goal? That's right, it was Lamine Yamal. This dude is just too good, and he's 16 years old, bruh. Anyways, it looked like Spain were on their way to the semis until Bayer Leverkusen's man, Florian Wirtz, of course who else, scored in the 89th minute to bring the game level for the Germans and send the game to extra time. Now for the majority of extra time, nothing really happened. Germany were obviously playing for penalties, with Luis de la Fuente, Spain's manager, taking out their country's best attacking threats in Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. And with Germany having the home advantage, they would 100% have the advantage and the likeliest chance of making it through on penalties. But at the very end of extra time, literally in like the 119th minute, Germany's defense were caught sleeping, and Mikel Merino, the center defensive mid, scored a header to secure the victory for the Spanish and get them through to the semifinals. Merino saved Spain, man, because I honestly believe if the game went to penalties, Germany would have secured a spot in the semifinals for sure. And no, Spain also sent my boy Toni Kroos into retirement. That's tough. Let's now move on to the semifinals against France. And this game was getting spicy before the match even started. That's because Adrien Rabiot, like a day before the game, spoke to the press, and he says something like if Lamine Yamal wants to make the final, he needs to perform better than he has this tournament. And of course, this is only going to go on and piss Lamine Yamal and the rest of the Spain national team off. And in fact, before the game, Yamal posted a quote on his Instagram story, saying, "Move in silence, only speak when it's time to say checkmate." And Lamine Yamal was cooking, because in that semifinal, after France somehow got the lead thanks to Colomani, who scored their first open play goal of the tournament, Lamine Yamal took it on himself to bring Spain back in the game. And right in front of Rabiot too, Yamal, the 16-year-old, scores an absolute screamer against France to bring the game back level. Lamine Yamal dunked on Rabiot's head top in a way that I've never seen before. This was a generational dunking moment. Rabiot, just never speak to the press again, bro. Just stay silent from now on, because what happened to you was just insane. Anyways, Dani Olmo then takes a down ball beautifully, sent Chouameni for a hot dog in a different country, and scores a goal to give Spain the lead. And Spain will keep this lead for the entirety of the game and win 2-1, securing themselves a spot in the Euro 2024 final. Their first Euro final since back in 2012, where they beat Italy 4-0. And guess what Lamine Yamal said after the game? He looked straight at the camera and said, "Speak now, speak now." Lamine Yamal's got the skills and sauce of Lionel Messi, but the ego of Cristiano Ronaldo. This guy's gonna be a phenomenon for like the next 2 decades. I just know it. And regarding Spain in the final, yeah, they're definitely the favorites to go on and win this Euros. Let's now move on to the other finalists of the Euros, England. But before we talk about them, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it, and it means a lot, so thank you. And also, if you guys can, follow my Twitter and my Instagram, both at Nabhuto, if you just want to hear my thoughts on football games, transfers, and overall, just to get to know me more. So if you want to, feel free to hit me up with that follow. Thank you. Anyways, England comfortably qualified for the Euros despite being in a difficult group with Italy and Ukraine, and they topped their qualifying group going undefeated as well. And with that, and the fact that England always has some high expectations, they were listed as one of the favorites to go on and win the Euros. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was them and France who were listed as the top 2 favorites to win it. And to be fair though, England were put in a relatively easy group consisting of Serbia, Denmark, and Slovenia. So it does kind of make sense why they were listed as heavy favorites. And also, to be fair, they did end up topping their group as well, although it was barely, like literally just by 1 point. They topped it regardless though. Here's the issue though, their performances in the group stages were far from convincing. They barely beat Serbia 1-0, only surviving thanks to a Jude Bellingham goal in the first half. Then they drew Denmark 1-1 in what was a terrible performance overall, and then against Slovenia, it was an absolutely boring 0-0. But despite all of that, like I said, they topped the group and moved on to the round 16, where they were set to play Slovakia. The problem in this match though is they went 1-0 down, a problem that England hadn't faced so far at the tournament. And also, for the longest time in the game, England did not know how to cope with this, and they were literally like 30 seconds away from going out of the competition entirely. But of course, England's savior and golden child, Jude Bellingham, comes up clutch for them and scores a bicycle kick in injury time to equalize the game and save England from eternal embarrassment, something that could arguably be worse than losing to Iceland back in Euro 2016. Anyways, with Bellingham saving England and sending the game to extra time, Harry Kane scored the second and final goal of the match, and England came away with a 2-1 victory. It's crazy that these guys were literally 30 seconds away from going out of the competition to now being in the final, bruh. But anyways, I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. So let's go to England's quarterfinal matchup against the strong Switzerland. And just like in the round 16 game, England went 1-0 down, but this time it was later in the game, and it was because of Embolo running in on the back post and scoring a tap in for the Swiss to go up 1-0. And at this moment, I genuinely thought that it was over for England. I thought scoring against Switzerland while they were up was going to be an impossible task, especially with Switzerland being really defensively solid. But Bukayo Saka came to England's saving, and he scored an absolute rocket from outside the box to equalize the game, and the match would eventually be sent to extra time. And thanks to Akanji absolutely screwing up his penalty, while all 5 penalty takers from England slotted theirs perfectly, the English secured a spot in the semifinals. However, in the semifinals, they would have to play the Netherlands, who literally just had a pretty strong performance against the Turkish, beating them 2-1. And in the game 2, England got off to a terrible start, something that has been a common occurrence to them in the knockout stages. And Xavi Simons caught the defense lacking and scored a golazo in the 8th minute to put the Dutch up 1-0. But thanks to a controversial penalty call from a referee who was previously banned back in 2005 for rigging a match, Harry Kane got the chance to equalize from the spot, and he did just that. Honestly, this was a pretty bad call in my eyes. Netherlands low-key got robbed here, but England did have a chance in the second half to go 2-1 up thanks to Bukayo Saka, but that was also called offsides, though I'm not quite sure it was, so maybe this evened up the bad decisions from this ref. However, in the 90th minute, the 2 substitutes who came on, Cole Palmer and Ollie Watkins, combined, and Watkins shot from an impossible angle, hitting the ball through De Vrij's legs, and scored in the last minute to send England in back-to-back Euro finals, with this time having the goal of winning it. What a moment for the English. But guys, I said that this was gonna happen. I said this before the tournament even started, that England were gonna make the Euro final, and I even said in the last prediction video that Spain and England were gonna face off in the final. But it's nothing new. Everyone knows that I got incredible ball knowledge. But now it's time to predict the final. English or Spanish? Ha, you blinked. I know you did. Anyways, in all seriousness, who do I think will win the Euro 2024 final, Spain or England? Now, it's not a secret that Spain are definitely the better performing national team at the tournament, and they're definitely the ones who deserve to win the Euros in my books. And not gonna lie, I've become a huge fan of the team over the summer and their players, especially Lamine Yamal. I'm definitely gonna follow his career more closely now. He's low-key a mix of a Neymar and Messi regen. And also, full transparency, I do have some money on the Spanish, so seeing them win would kinda help my bank account a little bit. But I think I'm gonna have to stick with my original prediction that I've had since before the tournament even started. I've said it since day one that I felt it was inevitable that England were going to win an international trophy, and the 2024 Euros was going to be the place where they were going to do it. Kind of like when Man City inevitably won the Champions League back in 2023. So with that being said, I got Spain going up 1-0 in the match, but England will equalize within the 90, and then in extra time, England will score a second, and they'll win their first ever Euros 2-1. I would love to be proven wrong, but I'm not about to switch on my day one prediction when I'm about to look like a genius when I said this more than a month ago. Anyways, I appreciate y'all for watching this video, and let me know who you guys got winning the Euro 2024 final in the comments down below. I would love to know what you guys think. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. And please be sure to follow my Twitter and my Instagram. The links are in my YouTube description. And last but not least, if you want to hear my thoughts on USA's Copa America failure and why Greg Berhalter deserved to be fired, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.